When the process server handed me the eviction papers on the porch of the house I still own, I saw my son Tyler's fresh signature right under the $1.2 million contract he'd just inked with Atlanta United. He wanted me out by the end of the month so his new fiancée, Brooke, and her parents could move in. The same boy I carried through 2 knee surgeries. The same young man whose every cleat, every flight to showcase tournaments, and every semester of college I paid for with my late husband's insurance money and my own retirement savings, had decided his mother was now a tenant he could legally remove. What he didn't know was that I had kept every single receipt, every wire transfer, every deed page, and every canceled check from the day his father died 17 years ago. And I was about to turn his $1 million celebration into the most expensive mistake of his life. I stood there on the porch steps in the late April sun, the papers trembling only because my hands were 70 years old, not because I was afraid. The process server, a tired-looking man in a gray polo, gave me an awkward nod and left. I didn't cry. I didn't call Tyler screaming. I simply walked back inside the same 3-bedroom ranch I bought with Robert in 1998, the house whose mortgage I paid off in 2016 using the last of Robert's pension settlement. Title was still in my name, Margaret Harlan, sole owner. Tyler had never been on the deed. Not once. I sat at the kitchen table where I used to tape ice packs to his swollen knees after high school games and spread the papers out. Eviction complaint, Fulton County Superior Court. Case number, fresh. Plaintiff, Tyler J. Harlan. Defendant, Margaret R. Harlan. Grounds, tenant at will and failure to pay fair market rent. Fair market rent. The boy who hadn't paid a single utility bill in 6 years was now charging me rent on the house I still legally owned. My phone buzzed. Tyler. I let it ring. Then a text came through. Mom, the realtor needs to stage the place next week. Can you have your stuff out by the 30th? We'll help move whatever you can't carry. Brooke's parents are flying in from Scottsdale. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then opened the voice memo app and spoke calmly. Tyler James Harlan, you signed a $1.2 million contract 2 days ago, and the first thing you do is file to evict your own mother from the house she never put in your name? Interesting priority. I didn't send it. Not yet. I needed the facts lined up first. That was how Robert and I always handled problems. Numbers before noise. I pulled the big fireproof box from the hall closet. Inside were the folders I'd kept since the week after Robert's funeral. Hospital bills from Tyler's first ACL tear at 17. $38,400. I paid cash. Private soccer academy in Atlanta after he didn't get a full college ride. $14,200 a year for 2 years. College tuition at Georgia State after he walked on. $21,800 per semester times 6 semesters. Car insurance, gas money, apartment deposits when he moved out the first 3 times and came crawling back. New cleats every 4 months because the boy grew feet like boats. Flights to Dallas, Chicago, LA for showcases. Physical therapy copays. The list went on. I opened my laptop and logged into the joint bank account I had stupidly kept open for emergencies. The one Tyler still had viewing access to. Balance, $4,872. Last month, it had been $28,000. I scrolled through the transactions. $14,000 transferred to Tyler Harlan, personal, the day after he signed the contract. Another $6,000 the day before. All while I was in the hospital last October recovering from pneumonia. He told me the account was just for household stuff. I printed every statement for the last 36 months. Then I pulled the property tax records. I had paid them every single year, including the last 2 that Tyler claimed he covered. He had simply reimbursed himself from my own account without telling me. By 9 p.m., I had a stack of documents 2 inches thick. I sat back, drank the last of my tea, and finally called my old friend Denise, who had retired from real estate law 2 years ago. Denise, it's Maggie. Kyler just served me eviction papers on my own house. He signed a $1.2 million soccer deal and apparently decided I'm in the way. She didn't gasp, She just asked for the case number and told me to meet her at her home office at 8 a.m. sharp. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because the pain was gone. My own son trying to throw me out of the only home I had left cut deeper than any diagnosis ever could. I slept because for the first time in 24 years, I wasn't wondering how I would fix Tyler's latest crisis. I was planning how I would end mine. The next morning, Denise looked over the papers, whistled low, and said the words I needed to hear. "Maggie, he doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. You're the record owner. No lease, no transfer of title. He's claiming you're a tenant at will, but even that requires proper notice, and you've never paid him rent. This is a nuisance filing. We'll crush it." She paused, scanning the bank statements I brought. "But there's more. That $20,000 he pulled out while you were in the hospital? That's not just rude. Depending on how we frame it, it could be elder financial exploitation. And if you use the house as collateral for any loans without your signature, we've got fraud." I told her about the Lamborghini I saw on his Instagram stories 2 days after the signing. Black, matte finish, custom plates. She raised an eyebrow. "We're going to need title searches, bank subpoenas, and a forensic accountant. You ready for war with your own son?" I looked at the photo on her desk. Denise with her 3 grown children who still called her every Sunday. "I raised him alone after Robert died. I gave him everything so he could chase that ball. Now he wants to take the roof from over my head. Yes, Denise, I'm ready." She smiled, the cold, professional smile of a woman who had seen too many adult children turn on their parents once the money appeared. "Good. Because the first hearing is in 14 days. And by then we're going to have every dollar, every signature, and every lie documented so clearly the judge won't even need closing arguments." I left her office with a new folder labeled Tyler, Legal. On the drive home, I passed the soccer complex where I used to sit in the bleachers for hours, freezing in winter, melting in summer, cheering for the boy who now wanted me gone. I didn't feel sadness anymore. I felt clarity. When I pulled into the driveway of the house I still owned, Tyler's new Mercedes was parked crooked across 2 spots. Brooke was taking photos for her Instagram. She saw me and waved like we were old friends. I didn't wave back. I simply walked inside, locked the door behind me, and started scanning every document into 3 different cloud drives. The war had officially begun. I sat at the kitchen table that same evening, the eviction papers still spread out like evidence on a crime scene, and let the memories come without fighting them. 24 years of receipts, canceled checks, and wire transfers. I didn't have to close my eyes to see every single one. Robert died in 2007 when Tyler was only 7. Drunk driver on I-85. The insurance settlement was $487,000 after lawyers took their cut. I put every penny into a trust for Tyler's future and kept working 2 jobs so the house on Maplewood Drive stayed paid. Mortgage was $1,248 a month. I paid it on time for 9 more years, until it was gone in 2016. Tyler never saw a single late notice because I made sure he didn't. Soccer started at age 8. First pair of cleats, $89.95. First travel team, $1,200 a season. By age 12, he was on the Atlanta United Academy track. That meant $3,800 a year in academy fees, plus $2,400 in gear and tournament travel. I drove him to every practice, every game, every out-of-state showcase. Gas, hotels, food for the whole team when it was our turn to host, another $9,000 over 4 years. I kept the spreadsheet. I still have it. High school brought the first ACL tear. Surgery, rehab, lost season. Medical bills after insurance, $38,400. I took it from the college fund I had started the week Robert died. Tyler cried in the hospital bed and promised he'd make it worth it. I believed him. He didn't get a full ride to Georgia State. Partial scholarship covered 40%. The rest, $21,800 per semester for 6 semesters, came from me. Books, dorm, meal plan, another car when the first one got totaled in a fender bender his sophomore year. $14,500 cash. I co-signed the loan because the bank wanted proof of income. I never missed a payment. When he tore the other knee in college, another $41,000 in medical costs. I refinanced the house I had already paid off just to keep him in physical therapy and on the field. The bank gave me $65,000 at 4.25%. I paid that off too in under 3 years by working overtime at the hospital billing department until my hands cramped. After graduation, he bounced between lower league teams. I let him move back home rent-free. Just until you get on your feet, baby. That phrase lasted 6 years. Utilities, groceries, new tires when he drove to tryouts in Nashville, Charlotte, Miami. Another $2,800 a month easy. Over those 6 years, that's $201,600 I tracked in my ledger. Not including the $47,000 I gave him for agent fees and showcase camps that never quite produced a pro contract. Last October, I caught pneumonia and spent 9 days in the hospital. While I was on oxygen, Tyler transferred $20,000 out of the emergency account I had stupidly left joint access on. He called it borrowing for training camp. I never saw a dime of it returned. When I asked, he said, "Mom, you're retired. You don't need it like I do." I never argued. I never demanded. I just kept the records. Now the same boy who once hugged me after every goal, who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during long drives home from tournaments, had filed court papers calling me a tenant at will. He wanted me out so Brooke's parents, retired snowbirds from Arizona, could have the master bedroom with the walk-in closet I had built for Robert's suits. I opened the folder labeled Tyler, Medical and Training, and laid the papers across the table like evidence for a jury. $312,000 in direct soccer-related expenses, $187,000 in college and living costs, $68,000 in vehicles and repairs, $41,000 in house-related loans I took for his medical bills. Total, over $608,000 of my life, my retirement, my widow's security, gone into the legs that were now kicking me out of my own home. The front door opened without a knock. Tyler walked in like he still owned the place, Brooke on his arm and designer athleisure that probably cost more than my monthly Social Security check. She was scrolling her phone, already taking photos of the new living room layout. "Mom," Tyler said, voice casual like we were discussing dinner. "The realtor's coming Thursday. You think you can clear the garage by then? Brooke's dad wants to park his RV back there while they look for a permanent place." I didn't stand up. I simply slid the top bank statement across the table toward him. $14,000 transferred out of my account while I was in the hospital. Care to explain? Brooke looked up from her phone, eyebrows raised. Tyler's jaw tightened. "That was for training. You said I could use the account for emergencies." "Training for what? You were already signed. And since when is a matte black Lamborghini an emergency?" Brooke laughed nervously. "Babe, maybe we should—" "No," Tyler cut her off. "This is my house now. I've been carrying the property taxes the last 2 years. I've got skin in the game." I slid the tax receipts next, my name on every single one, my checking account debits. "You reimbursed yourself from my account, Tyler. That's not skin in the game. That's theft." His face flushed the same way it used to when he got called for a foul he didn't like. "You're being dramatic. The house is in your name, but I've lived here my whole life. It's only fair. Once I get my first big paycheck, I'll buy you something smaller. Maybe a condo." Brooke nodded like this was generous. "Yeah, Maggie. A cute one-story with no stairs. Perfect for your age." I looked at the girl who was 26, the same age I was when I buried my husband, and felt nothing but ice. "I raised you in this house, Tyler. I paid for every dream you ever had. And 48 hours after you sign a $1.2 million contract, your first move is to evict me." He crossed his arms, the new Rolex catching the light. "It's business, Mom. Brooke and I need to start our life. You'll be fine."
You always are.
I stood up slowly, knees aching from years of sitting on metal bleachers. "Business," I repeated. "Then let's do business. You have 14 days until the first hearing. I suggest you cancel the realtor, because when we're done, you're going to owe me every dollar I ever spent on you, plus interest, and this house will still have my name on the deed." Brooke's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Tyler stared at me like he was seeing his mother for the first time. You're really going to fight me over this? I picked up the stack of documents and held them out. No, son. I'm not fighting you. I'm showing the court exactly who you are. He snatched his keys off the counter, the ones I had paid for, and headed for the door. You'll regret this, Mom. When the judge sees how unstable you are. I smiled for the first time in days. A small, cold smile. Unstable? I have 48 folders of proof, Tyler. You have Instagram stories and a forged signature on a power of attorney you tried to slip past me last month. Bring it on. The door slammed behind them. I stood in the quiet kitchen that still smelled like the lemon cleaner I used every Saturday for 24 years, and I felt something shift into place. The boy I sacrificed everything for was gone. In his place was a man with $1 million contract and zero gratitude. And for the first time, I was ready to treat him exactly like the stranger he had become. The next afternoon, the realtor showed up anyway. A sleek woman in heels named Carla, clipboard in hand, measuring the living room like she was already listing it. Tyler and Brooke trailed behind her, pointing at walls, talking about knocking out the pantry for a bigger island. They didn't even knock. They used the key I had given Tyler years ago when he said he needed a place to crash between teams. I was in the kitchen, sorting the last of the documents into color-coded folders, green for bank records, red for medical bills, blue for property taxes, when I heard Carla's voice echo down the hallway. Great natural light. The master will photograph beautifully once we stage it. Neutral tones, maybe some soccer memorabilia for that personal touch. Brooke laughed. Oh, we're taking all that down. It screams boys' room. We want it to feel like a young, professional couple's home. I stepped into the doorway, still in my housecoat, hair in the same bun I'd worn to every one of his games. This is still my house. You can leave now. Tyler didn't even look embarrassed. He crossed his arms, the new Atlanta United hoodie stretched across shoulders that had cost me thousands in protein shakes and trainers. Mom, Carla's just doing her job. The hearing's in 12 days. You might as well start packing the small stuff. We'll cover a storage unit for a couple months. Carla shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very interested in her tape measure. Brooke scrolled on her phone, not even glancing up. Maggie, honey, there's a lovely senior community 20 minutes from the stadium. They have bridge nights. You'd make friends your own age. I looked at the girl wearing the 4-carat ring my emergency fund had probably helped buy and felt the cold clarity settle deeper. Bridge nights, I repeated. While you two live rent-free in the house I paid off in 2016 with the last of my husband's settlement money. Tell me, Brooke, how much did Tyler say that matte black Lamborghini cost? Because I saw the $87,000 wire from my account 2 days after the signing. Tyler's head snapped toward me. That was a loan against future earnings. Against my house, I corrected. I pulled the latest bank PDF from the folder and held it up. Title search shows you used this address as collateral without my signature. That's mortgage fraud, Tyler. Federal, not just county. Carla took one step back toward the front door. Brooke finally looked up, lips pursed. This is getting ridiculous. Tyler, your mom is clearly confused. She's been alone too long. Maybe we should talk to that lawyer again about the guardianship thing. There it was, the word I'd been waiting for. Guardianship, I said calmly. You mean the power of attorney you tried to get me to sign while I was on oxygen last October? The one with my forged signature that your lawyer friend backdated. Tyler's face went tight. You're twisting everything. I was trying to help you manage things. Help me by draining $20,000 while I was in the ICU? Help me by filing eviction on the only home I have left after I spent $608,000 raising you? I laid the summary sheet on the coffee table, the one Denise helped me prepare with every major expense itemized and dated. Tyler stared at the total. For the first time since the process server showed up, something like doubt flickered across his face. Brooke recovered faster. She walked over and put her hand on his arm like she was steadying a prized racehorse. Babe, she's just emotional. Retired people get like this. We'll get the doctor's note. Everyone knows old folks get paranoid when big money comes in. I smiled, the same small, cold smile I'd given them the night before. Paranoid. Interesting word. My bank already flagged the suspicious transfers. They froze the remaining balance and notified Adult Protective Services. Your new lawyer is going to love that paperwork. Carla cleared her throat. I think I should come back another time. No need, I said. There will be no staging, no open houses. This house is not for sale, and it is not Tyler's to evict me from. Tyler stepped closer, voice low and ugly. You're really going to do this? Embarrass me in front of the team? The club just gave me a signing bonus. I can make your life hell, Mom. I looked at the boy whose diapers I changed, whose fevers I stayed up with, whose dreams I financed with every dime I had. You already did, Tyler. The moment you signed those eviction papers, 48 hours after getting everything I ever sacrificed for. Now get out of my house. Brooke tugged his sleeve. Come on, let the lawyers handle it. She'll fold when she sees the court costs. They left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the framed photo of Robert holding 3-year-old Tyler on his shoulders. I picked it up, wiped the dust off the glass, and set it back on the mantel. Then I called Denise. They mentioned guardianship again, and they're still pushing the realtor. Denise's voice was steady steel. Good. Every threat, every visit without permission, every mention of incompetence goes in the log. I just got the preliminary title search back. The bank that issued the Lamborghini loan used the house address without verifying ownership. We have them on fraud, too. I'm filing the motion to dismiss the eviction tomorrow and a countersuit for financial exploitation the day after. I exhaled slowly. How bad can this get for him? Bad. The MLS has morality clauses. If this blows up publicly, elder abuse allegations tied to a new $1 million signing, they tend to bench players until it's resolved. Sponsors hate headlines like that. I looked around the living room where I had watched every one of his games on TV when I couldn't afford tickets. The couch I bought when he was 12 because the old one had a permanent grass stain from his cleats. I don't want to destroy him, Denise. I just want what's mine, the house, my savings, my dignity, and I want him to understand that blood doesn't give him the right to steal my future. She was quiet for a moment. Then we do it clean. Numbers, documents, courtroom. No screaming, just facts. That night, I changed the locks myself. Hardware store run at 7 p.m., deadbolts installed by 9. I sat on the porch with a cup of tea and watched Tyler's Mercedes pull up at 10:30. He tried his key. It didn't work. He banged on the door. Mom, open up! This is childish! I didn't answer. I simply turned on the new security camera I'd mounted that afternoon, the one that streamed straight to my phone in Denise's office, and let it record every word. Brooke yelled from the car. She's lost it. Call the lawyer tonight. Tell him she's barricading herself in. Tyler kicked the door once, hard, then stormed back to the car. The camera caught his face clearly, angry, entitled, scared. I sent the clip to Denise with the timestamp. Then I locked the door, poured another cup of tea, and opened the folder for tomorrow's meeting with the forensic accountant. My son wanted war. I was going to give him one. Written entirely in bank statements and legal filings. The morning after I changed the locks, I drove straight to the bank where I had kept my accounts for 28 years. Mr. Ellison, the branch manager who had watched Tyler grow up through every school photo I once brought in, met me in his office with a grave face. Margaret, I'm glad you came in. We flagged several large transfers last week. 14,000, then 6,000 more. The system held the latest one because it triggered our elder protection protocols. He slid printed statements across the desk. Tyler's name was on the memo line of every outgoing wire. One read, Training Camp, Urgent. Another simply, MLS Advance. Mr. Ellison, I never authorized those after October. I was in the hospital. He nodded and pulled up another screen. There's more. 2 months ago, a lender ran a credit pull using this property address. They issued a $400,000 personal loan in Tyler's name, listing the house as collateral. The loan documents list you as co-borrower. Signature looks off. I stared at the scanned PDF. My name typed at the bottom. A signature that looked like mine, but had the wrong loop on the capital M. The same forgery pattern Denise had already flagged on the power of attorney attempt. They used my house, my paid-off house, to finance a Lamborghini and an engagement ring, I said quietly. Mr. Ellison exhaled. We've frozen everything tied to the address. I've also placed a fraud alert and notified the fraud department. You'll need to file a police report and an affidavit disputing the signature. We can unwind the loan if we move fast. I left the bank with a thick envelope of new printouts and a confirmed appointment with the fraud investigator for the next day. Then I drove to Denise's office. She was waiting with a forensic accountant named Paul, who specialized in elder financial cases. Paul whistled when he saw the stack. 608,000 documented, plus the fraudulent 400,000 loan. This is textbook financial exploitation. We can file both a civil suit for repayment and a criminal referral to the DA's elder abuse unit. Denise slid a new motion across the table. I'm filing this afternoon. Motion to dismiss eviction, countersuit for conversion and fraud, and emergency motion to set aside the fraudulent lien. I also requested an expedited hearing. Judge Harlan, no relation, thankfully, has a reputation for protecting seniors in these cases. I signed every page without hesitation. Paul looked up from his laptop. One more thing. Tyler's agent just posted on social media about the family compound they're setting up. Instagram stories show the Lamborghini in your driveway yesterday before you changed the locks. That's going to look very bad when we show the judge he was trying to move new in-laws into a house he doesn't own while simultaneously draining your accounts. I drove home in silence, the new deadbolt key heavy in my pocket. When I pulled into the driveway, two unfamiliar cars were parked on the grass. Tyler, Brooke, and an older couple, Brooke's parents, stood on the porch arguing with a locksmith. The father, a tanned man in golf attire, spotted me first. There she is. Listen, Margaret, this is ridiculous. The kids need space to start their life. We're only in town for a month until our Scottsdale house sells. Tyler says you have plenty of room. I walked past them, slid my new key into the lock, and opened the door just enough to step inside. This conversation is over. Leave my property or I'll call the police. I have cameras recording everything. Brooke's mother clutched her pearls. Tyler, you said she was reasonable. Tyler's face was flushed with rage. Mom, you're embarrassing me in front of my future in-laws. The club is already asking questions because some blogger saw the eviction filing. Fix this before it costs me my roster spot. I turned in the doorway, calm as the eye of a storm. You filed to evict me 48 hours after signing a $1.2 million contract. You forged my name on a $400,000 loan using my house as collateral. You drained my emergency savings while I was on oxygen. And now you want me to protect your image? I looked each of them in the eye. Tyler, Brooke, her parents. The only thing I'm fixing is the mistake I made for 24 years, thinking my love and money would buy me respect in my old age. You have until the sheriff shows up to get off my lawn. I closed the door, threw the deadbolt, and watched on my phone as they stood there arguing for another 10 minutes before driving away. Denise called 30 minutes later. Filing is done. Hearing is set for next Tuesday at 9 a.m. I've subpoenaed the bank records and the loan documents. Paul already found 3 more unauthorized transfers totaling another $9,200. We're up to almost $430,000 in provable misappropriations before we even touch the house lien. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened the folder labeled Tyler, Legal, Updated. For the first time since the process server arrived, I allowed myself one small, satisfied breath. My son had spent years learning how to win on the soccer field. He was about to learn that courtrooms are played with documents, not footwork. And I had spent 24 years keeping perfect score. Tyler didn't wait for the hearing. 2 days after I changed the locks, a new set of papers arrived by certified mail. This time the filing was thicker. Motion to accelerate eviction and petition for temporary guardianship and conservatorship of Margaret R. Harlan. I read the allegations in my kitchen while the morning light slanted across the same table where I once helped Tyler with algebra. Petitioner alleges that respondent exhibits signs of cognitive decline, paranoia, and financial irresponsibility. Respondent has refused reasonable requests for assistance, changed locks to exclude family members, installed surveillance equipment, and made irrational decisions regarding long-standing family property. Attached were affidavits. One from Brooke claiming I had screamed at her and threatened police for no reason. One from Tyler stating I had become hostile and unstable since his signing bonus, isolating myself from loved ones. Brooke's father even signed one, saying I appeared confused and combative on the porch. They had also attached a forged physician's note from a doctor I had never seen, suggesting possible early dementia and recommending immediate conservatorship. I called Denise before I finished the second page. They're going for guardianship now, I told her. They want a judge to hand Tyler control of my accounts, the house, everything. Denise's voice stayed ice calm. Classic escalation. They know the eviction alone won't stick, so they're trying to have you declared incompetent. We file our opposition today. I want you at my office in 1 hour. Bring every medical record you have from the last 10 years. I spent the next 3 days turning my dining room into a war room. Paul, the forensic accountant, worked at one end of the table. Denise reviewed every line at the other. I sat in the middle, feeding them documents. We pulled my annual physicals, blood work, cognitive screenings, bone density, all normal for a healthy 70-year-old. We pulled tax returns showing I had managed my own finances without issue for 43 years. We pulled the hospital records from October, proving I was discharged with a clean bill of mental health. Paul found 2 more unauthorized wires, $4,800 for Brooke's engagement ring, and $3,100 for a team dinner that somehow included bottle service at a nightclub. On Friday afternoon, Denise looked up from her laptop. They made a mistake. They attached the backdated power of attorney as an exhibit. The metadata on the PDF shows it was created 3 weeks after you were discharged from the hospital. Our digital forensics expert can prove it in court. I nodded once. Good. Let them bring it. The accelerated hearing was moved up to Monday morning. Tyler's side had pulled strings. Monday came gray and quiet. I wore the same navy suit I had worn to Robert's funeral. Simple, pressed, dignified. Denise met me at the courthouse steps with Paul and a tall retired detective she used for process serving. Inside the courtroom, Tyler sat at the plaintiff's table in a charcoal suit that still had the tag's crease lines. Brooke was beside him in pearls and a black dress like she was attending a funeral. Mine. Her parents sat directly behind them. Tyler wouldn't meet my eyes. Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense woman in her late 50s, called the case. Tyler's attorney, a slick man named Markham, stood first. Your Honor, my client has recently signed a substantial professional contract. He is concerned for his mother's welfare. Mrs. Harlan has exhibited paranoid behavior, refused family support, and made financial decisions that suggest she can no longer manage her affairs. We ask the court to appoint Tyler Harlan as temporary guardian and conservator and to grant immediate possession of the family home so he can provide proper care. Markham gestured to the stack of affidavits. Denise rose like a blade. Your Honor, this is not concern. This is a coordinated attempt at elder financial exploitation. Mrs. Harlan is the sole record owner of the property. There is no lease, no transfer of title. The petitioner has already fraudulently placed a $400,000 lien on that property without her knowledge or consent. We have bank records showing over $430,000 in unauthorized transfers from her accounts. We have forensic proof that the power of attorney submitted by petitioner was forged after Mrs. Harlan refused to sign it. She handed the judge 2 thick binders, one labeled Financial Exploitation Evidence, the other Medical Competence. Judge Harlan flipped through the first few pages. Her eyebrows rose. Counsel, these are serious allegations. Mrs. Harlan, would you like to address the court? I stood. My voice stayed even, the same tone I used when I had to tell parents their child wasn't getting playing time. Your Honor, I am 70 years old. I buried my husband 17 years ago and raised our son alone. I paid for every soccer cleat, every surgery, every semester of college, every failed tryout. I kept records because I was a widow on a fixed income. Those records now total $608,000 of my retirement and my husband's insurance money. 2 days after my son signed his $1.2 million contract, he filed to evict me from the only home I have left. He then tried to have me declared incompetent so he could control what remains. I am not confused. I am finished being used. I sat down. The courtroom was completely silent. Markham tried to recover. Your Honor, emotions are high. Judge Harlan cut him off. I've seen enough for today. We will hear full arguments on the guardianship petition next week. In the meantime, I am issuing a temporary restraining order. Tyler Harlan and any agents acting on his behalf are prohibited from entering or coming within 500 feet of the Maplewood Drive property. The eviction action is stayed pending resolution of the fraud and exploitation claims. Mrs. Harlan, you remain in full control of your person and property. Tyler shot to his feet. This is bullshit! She's my mother! Sit down, Mr. Harlan, the judge said sharply, or I will hold you in contempt. Brooke started crying theatrically. Her father put a hand on Tyler's shoulder, but Tyler shook it off and stormed toward the door. As they passed my table, Tyler finally looked at me. For 1 second, I saw the little boy who used to run to me after games. Then it was gone. You'll regret this, he hissed under his breath. I met his eyes without blinking. I already regret 24 years of it, Tyler. The rest is just paperwork. They left. The heavy courtroom door closed behind them with a final-sounding thud. Denise touched my arm. You did well. Next week we finish it. I walked out of the courthouse into the April sunlight and felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Not anger, not grief, control. My son had tried to take my home, my money, and my dignity in 1 week. Instead, he had just handed the court the rope to hang his own future with. The full hearing came 7 days later. I walked into the Fulton County courtroom wearing the same navy suit, carrying the same worn leather briefcase Robert gave me for our 10th anniversary. This time, the gallery was fuller. A reporter from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution sat in the back row. 2 MLS player union reps were present. Word had leaked that a promising new signing was trying to evict and guardianship his own mother. Tyler sat at the plaintiff's table again, but the confidence was gone. His suit looked slept in. Brooke wasn't beside him this time. She sat 2 rows back with her parents, eyes red. Markham, his attorney, shuffled papers like a man who already knew the tide had turned. Judge Harlan entered. No small talk. We are here on the consolidated matters: eviction, fraudulent lien, financial exploitation, and the petition for guardianship and conservatorship. Mrs. Harlan's counsel may proceed. Denise stood and didn't waste a second. Your Honor, over the last 24 years, Mrs. Margaret Harlan spent $608,742 of her own money and her late husband's insurance proceeds to support her son Tyler's soccer career. We have itemized spreadsheets, bank records, canceled checks, and tax returns. Today, we will prove that within 48 hours of signing a $1.2 million MLS contract, Tyler Harlan filed to evict his mother from the home she solely owns, forged documents to place a $400,000 lien against that home, and attempted to seize control of her remaining assets by claiming she is incompetent. She began entering exhibits one by one. Exhibit 1, the original 1998 warranty deed. Margaret R. Harlan, sole owner. Tyler's name never appeared. Exhibit 2 through 47, every major expense. ACL surgeries, academy fees, college tuition, vehicles, the $65,000 home equity line I took for his second knee surgery. The judge's eyes narrowed as the total climbed past $600,000. Exhibit 48, the $400,000 loan documents. My forged signature. Metadata proving the PDF was created after I refused to sign anything. Exhibit 49. Bank statements showing $434,200 in unauthorized transfers, including the $87,000 Lamborghini down payment wired while I was hospitalized. Exhibit 50. The backdated power of attorney. Our digital forensics expert took the stand and explained in plain English how the creation timestamp proved forgery. Markham tried to object. Judge Harlan overruled him before he finished the sentence. Then it was their turn. Tyler took the stand. His voice cracked once.
I was just trying to help my mom. She's been alone a long time. After I got the contract, I wanted to take care of her, but she got paranoid and changed the locks. I love my mom. This is all a misunderstanding.
Denise cross-examined him for 23 minutes.
Mr. Harlan, did you transfer $20,000 from your mother's account while she was in the ICU?
Yes, but did you list her paid-off house as collateral on a $400,000 loan without her signature? I thought she would understand. Did you file eviction papers 2 days after signing your contract? He looked at the floor.
The realtor said we needed to move fast.
Denise held up the forged power of attorney. And did you have this document prepared after your mother explicitly refused to sign any power of attorney? Tyler's attorney tried to jump in. The judge shut it down. When Tyler stepped down, his face was gray. I took the stand last. The courtroom was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning hum. I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I simply told the truth, the same way I used to tell referees what I saw from the bleachers. Your Honor, I am not here because I want to punish my son. I am here because for 24 years, I believed that if I gave everything, I would be respected in my old age. I was wrong. I kept every record because widows learn to be careful with money. Those records now protect me. I do not need a guardian. I need my house, my remaining savings, and the right to live the rest of my life without being treated as an ATM that has outlived its usefulness. The judge asked only one question. Mrs. Harlan, do you still wish to have any relationship with your son after this? I looked straight at Tyler. I will always love the boy I raised, but I no longer trust the man he became the moment the money arrived. That is his loss, not mine. Judge Harlan recessed for 20 minutes. When she returned, her voice was steel. Petition for guardianship and conservatorship is denied. The temporary restraining order is made permanent. The eviction action is dismissed with prejudice. The court finds probable cause of financial exploitation and fraud. The $400,000 loan is declared void ab initio. The lender is ordered to release the fraudulent lien within 72 hours. Further, the court recommends the district attorney review this matter for criminal elder exploitation charges. Mrs. Harlan is awarded judgment in the amount of $434,200 for unauthorized transfers, plus attorney fees and costs. This judgment shall constitute a lien on any and all future earnings of Tyler J. Harlan, including, but not limited to, his Atlanta United contract, until satisfied. She looked directly at Tyler. Mr. Harlan, blood does not entitle you to steal from the woman who gave you everything. You are excused. The gavel came down. Tyler sat frozen. Brooke's father was already on his phone, probably calling their own lawyer. The reporter in the back was typing furiously. I stood, gathered my briefcase, and walked past my son without a word. At the door, I paused just long enough to hear him whisper, "Mom." I didn't turn around. Outside in the hallway, Denise shook my hand. It's over, Maggie. The bank will unwind the loan by Friday. Your house is safe, your accounts are safe. And his contract just got a very expensive garnish. I nodded once. For the first time in 24 years, I felt light. Not because I had won, because I had finally stopped losing myself to keep someone else winning. The judgment hit Tyler's world like a red card in stoppage time. By Wednesday afternoon, Atlanta United's front office had already called him in for a meeting. The morality clause in his brand new contract was clear. No public scandals that brought negative attention to the club. A viral courthouse story about a rookie trying to evict and declare his own mother incompetent was exactly the kind of negative attention they didn't need. I didn't have to chase the news. Denise forwarded me the email from the union rep. Tyler had been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review. His first team debut, already scheduled for the home opener in 10 days, was now under evaluation. That same afternoon, my phone rang. Tyler. I let it go to voicemail the first 2 times. On the third, I answered. Mom. His voice was raw, stripped of the swagger he'd worn since the signing. They froze my signing bonus. The bank won't release any of the money until your judgment is satisfied.
I can't even pay Brooke's parents back for the ring.
I sat on my porch in the late afternoon sun, the same porch where I used to watch him kick a ball against the garage door as a child. You owe me $434,200 plus legal fees, Tyler. The court put a lien on every dollar you earn until it's paid.
That's how this works when you steal from your own mother.
Silence stretched between us. I could hear him breathing hard. I didn't think it would go this far. I thought you'd just move out and we'd figure it out later. Brooke said, Brooke isn't the one who paid for your surgeries, your college, or kept this roof over your head for 6 years after you turned 21. I cut in, voice steady. You made your choices. Now you live with them. He tried another angle, the one that used to work when he was little.
I'm your only son. This is going to ruin me before I even start.
No, Tyler. You tried to ruin me. The difference is I kept every receipt. You didn't. I heard a woman's voice in the background, Brooke, whispering something sharp. Tyler's tone changed again. Look, can we at least talk about a payment plan? I can send you something every month once they lift the freeze. I almost laughed. You will send me everything the court orders, through your attorney to my attorney. No direct contact. The permanent restraining order is still in effect. If you or anyone connected to you comes near this house or me, I will have you arrested. That includes driving by to check on me. I could hear the panic rising in his throat. Mom, please. I'm sorry. I was stupid. The money went to my head. I'll make it right. I swear. For one heartbeat, the old Maggie, the one who would have driven through the night to pick him up from any failure, almost softened. Then I remembered the process server on my porch, the forged signature, the way Brooke had called me confused old lady in open court. You can start making it right by respecting the court order and the boundaries I finally set. Goodbye, Tyler. I hung up. 2 hours later, Denise called with the next wave. The lender folded. They released the fraudulent lien this morning after our fraud packet hit their legal department.
Your house is clean again.
Also, the DA's office opened a preliminary investigation into the elder exploitation. They want to interview you next week. I thanked her and walked through every room of the house that was still, and always had been, mine. The living room where Robert and I brought baby Tyler home. The kitchen where I cooked pasta the night before every big game. The bedroom where I sat alone after Robert's funeral and promised myself I would give our son the world. I had given him the world. Now I was taking mine back. The following Monday, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution ran the story above the fold in the sports section. Promising MLS rookie faces elder exploitation allegations from mother. The online version already had 200,000 views. Tyler's agent left a desperate message asking if I would consider a private settlement to keep it quiet. I forwarded it to Denise with one line. No comment, full judgment enforcement. By the end of that week, Tyler's first paycheck had been garnished. The league released a short statement. The player was cooperating with authorities and focusing on personal matters. Translation? He was benched indefinitely. I sat at my kitchen table one last time with the final accounting Paul had prepared. Tyler now owed me $487,300 after legal fees. The lien would follow him to every contract, every endorsement, every appearance fee until it was paid in full. I closed the folder, walked outside, and put a for sale by owner sign in the front yard. Not because I had to, because I finally could. I was selling the house that had cost me everything, and buying something smaller, paid in full, with no memories attached. A quiet condo near the river where no one had my spare key, and no one expected me to keep sacrificing. Tyler had tried to evict me. Instead, I was evicting the last 24 years of guilt, silence, and self-erasure. And for the first time since Robert died, the woman walking away from that sign felt like she was finally going home. I sold the house 63 days after the final judgment. Not in a rush. Not because Tyler forced me. I listed it myself, priced it fairly at market value, and chose a young couple with a toddler who reminded me of what Robert and I once were. Hopeful, hardworking, building something real. They paid cash after their own lender cleared in record time. Closing was quiet, no drama, just the scratch of pins and the transfer of a home that had finally served its purpose in my life. I walked out with a check for $428,000 after realtor fees and used every cent to buy a paid-off 2-bedroom condo overlooking the Chattahoochee River. No mortgage. No spare key hidden under a rock, no one on the deed but me. The monthly HOA fee is $312, covered comfortably by my Social Security and the small pension I never touched while I was busy financing Tyler's dreams. For the first time in 24 years, every dollar that came in stayed mine. Tyler's garnishment hit his second attempted paycheck. Atlanta United released him from the contract with a quiet settlement to avoid further scandal. The DA's office didn't pursue criminal charges after he paid the full $487,300 judgment, including interest and my legal fees, through a structured payment plan his new agent negotiated. The club's morality clause and the public headlines had done what the courtroom alone couldn't. They ended his million-dollar dream before it really began. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances, he was playing in a lower league in Texas, driving a used sedan, and living in an apartment he actually had to pay rent for. Brooke left shortly after the money dried up. Some lessons only land when the luxury is gone. I kept my word on the boundaries. No calls, no surprise visits, no holiday texts asking for just a little help to get back on my feet. The permanent restraining order remains active. If he ever wants a relationship with the mother he tried to erase, it will be on my terms, in public, with witnesses, and only after every court-ordered dollar is paid. So far, he hasn't tried. Some mornings I sit on my small balcony with coffee and watch the river move slowly south. I think about the boy who used to score goals and run straight to the stands to hug me. I still love that boy. The man who signed those eviction papers is someone else entirely. I've made peace with the difference. Eleanor from the Garden Club, the same one who went through her own version of this years ago, comes over every Thursday for tea. We don't talk about forgiveness or second chances. We talk about the trips I'm finally taking, a week in Savannah next month, a cruise to Alaska in September, maybe Italy the year after. Small things I postponed for decades so Tyler could chase a ball. I kept one box from the old house. Not the trophies or the jerseys, just the medical bills, the tuition statements, and the final court judgment. I sealed it and placed it on the top shelf of my new closet. Not as a weapon, as a reminder. This is what happens when a mother stops being a walking ATM. I sleep through the night now. I paint watercolors of the river at sunset. I joined a book club where no one knows my son's name. My days belong to me. My money belongs to me. My future belongs to me. Tyler learned the hardest lesson a child can learn. The woman who gave you everything can also take back control of what's left of her life. And she doesn't owe you a single day more of it. If you're listening to this and you're still pouring everything into adult children who treat you like an inconvenience, I hope my story reaches you in time. Keep the receipts. Change the locks when you must. Stand in the courtroom if you have to. Because the only person who truly has to live with the consequences of your endless giving is you. I learned that late, but I learned it. And for the first time in my 70 years, I am finally, completely free. Thank you for listening.